Hi, Muchismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share this video if you found it helpful. Give it a thumbs up and pass it on if you believe someone else would benefit from it. I would appreciate that. I said last video that I was going to talk about some things that I believe were going to be cringing. Really going to be, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible and get straight to the chase. And this is going to be very intensely mind-jarring and conscious awakening, I hope. And I'm praying God helps me to hit the mark on this one. Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell, this trial was one like many others. A lot of people died in this. These people went on to kill. She went on to kill her husband in collusion with Chad Daybell. They colluded to kill him, and then went on to kill the two children. One was autistic, and then, people emphasize he's autistic. That plays on the heartstrings. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And that's 3. And then Tammy Daybell. The kids were killed after Tammy because Tammy didn't even know they were buried on Chad's property. So that's 4. Husband, the 2 kids, then Tammy. And I believe Alex, the brother of Lori, he was really slow, probably manipulated. He was able to be manipulated. That's what it looks like when you have a people pleaser. And he went on to believe that she was being abused by the husband. So he did all the dirty work. And I think he inevitably got killed. And they tried to take the life of maybe 1 or 2 other people in that family. And so this is what happens when 2 narcissists link up together. Yet while these people were killing or putting people up, Alex to kill these people, they went on to get married a week or 2 after Tammy, Chad's wife, got killed. They went to Hawaii, got a honeymoon, and he sold books of something about seeing behind the veil. He was on this religiosity kick, but the thing was, he had so many people hoodwinked. They were on this utopia, euphoric carpet ride spiritually. And this is what happens when we get this butterfly feeling and we don't read the word of God to the point where we can recognize a Holy Spirit rather than a demonic spirit or demonic manipulation. But that's a whole nother thing. What I want to talk about, guys, these people unalived people like killing flies. In our due process, they are afforded, and that is their constitutional right, to have a trial before a jury of their peers. What I'm showing you guys is a parallel. It's a pattern in life. I'm going to cut through the chase. I'm going to leave no stone unturned. I'm trying to show you where the people and the powers that be, although they're in admirable positions of authority to right the wrongs of society, be it DAs, judges, prosecutors, sheriff's officers, and whoever all of these people are who go and search and bring the culprits to justice. They are held in a confinement until a trial, and then these people get a trial. And we're talking about narcissists specifically. They are afforded the same things as every other human being breathing gets. They get a trial. But what people don't understand, like we do, awakened empaths here, I would wish that family would reach out rather than getting trauma counseling from these over-the-top narcissist expert. I would hope that they happen upon our channels here and get an intense psychotherapy of what they just have experienced. You know why I hope that they do that, as opposed to all of these people that are championing around them and gathering around them. These pilot programs are set up to give them grieving counseling. These people, many times, are the very thing that these people needed healing from. Because what's happening here, there's an energetic transfer of sorts, and there is also a narcissistic hunger in this land. This is why a lot of these trials, narcissists salivate. When they was reading the victim impact statement, if I had to give my take on this, the details that they were reading and giving while they were grieving and spewing their disdain for Lori, she was sitting there unmoved, just unbothered by everything that was happening. But what a lot of people in that courtroom don't know is she was getting the last hurrah. When she represented herself, she was getting the last hurrah. B2K, bind, torture, and kill. Charles Manson, grandstanding. These people love to be heard. They love to be paid attention to. What do you do? How do you combat that? What's the antidote to that? There is an antidote, but it will never be implemented. The antidote would be to give them a trial. Don't sensationalize it. Don't have a close to the media and let it be verbally read to society, as opposed to all of this television type sensationalized soap opera. And that still probably wouldn't cut the mustard, because what happens is these people, like I said, sheriffs, DA, prosecutors, some of these very people are narcissists. And what they're doing is riding the back of that narcissist's gruesome acts, and they are deemed the heroes. You see where I'm going, guys? And you may say, well, you know what? That's terrible, Mochismo, for you to just think everybody is just bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. See, that is your empathy getting the best of you. That is your reckless empathy going the wrong way. And this is what narcissists are counting on. They're capitalizing on the fact. They're anticipating that you will not only take allegiance, not only not take allegiance with deep thinkers such as me and a lot of other these content creators, spiritual deep thinking, people who are being gifted to see through the BS. You will pledge allegiance with these entities in which I'm speaking about, and thereby you will continue to stay asleep. See, God has put something in some of us in this world. Some of us select empath and chosen ones. He's put something in us that can't be quenched. He's put something, a fire in us that we will not be muted. We will talk about some things that will sound so preposterous, off the wall, off the Richter, out of this world. They tried to deem Christ a madman. Go back and read the book. What did he say that made him a madman? Things that they couldn't understand. Because you can't relate and understand it and connect with it, it does not mean that you're a madman. There are many things that people talk about in life that people can't comprehend. Try to sit in a physics class not knowing the dynamics and the in and outs of physics or even algebra, trigonometry. Sit in a class like that, but nobody's in there calling that trigonometry teacher a madman. Great analogy, right? So back to point. This is the day and time God is revealing. He is putting on a big screen for empaths and chosen ones. These gruesome acts are for us. This is for us. This is for us to see that we know what we know, but we need to speak what we know to those who are dying, being abused and mistreated by these entities in question. This is how it looks. You go to court, you find so many people in the matrix. They will take a plea. They will go to that traffic court, and they will, I've mentioned this before, they have card readers in the courtroom. It's like a mechanical robotic interaction. Everybody's waiting to go up. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry about this passion that's coming from my position now. You will understand it later. If you grasp what I'm saying, you will understand it later. And so you go in this courtroom, you got the card reader, it's robotic. You get everyone goes up there. The judge reads off the spiel of what this person is guilty of, allegedly guilty of doing in the traffic violation. And he goes on to say, how do you wish to pay? Cash or card? And then so you see people sitting, they can't wait for their turn to be called up there. Oh, it's my turn. And you get up there and you draw a sigh of relief because you know you got a card, you know you have the ability to pay this. You just want to get out of there. You want to get out of there because it's unnerving to you. You think you're in trouble. This is how the Matrix works. You only have a traffic infraction. If most people knew, you don't have to plead anything guilty. You can plead not guilty, and you too can go before a court in traffic court to have that set before a court, and pretty much not like a criminal trial, but it will be a trial of sorts where evidence has to be presented, and it will become like a little bit of a long drawn out situation. Now that would be tactic, or you could just stand your ground and say, I'm not guilty of this, and the DA will come over and they will try to get you to plead to a lesser charge. See, if many people knew that there are options that they had rather than going in the courtrooms, pleading out to these things, and often these are empaths and chosen ones that are the guinea pigs for this BS. And so what happens is these entities in which I just talked about, which this all correlates, they are a lot of times a narcissist will grow up and pursue specific jobs in the community, such as an EMS, a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer. And mind you, this is all Illuminati. This is all Illuminati. Not everybody who's a cop, doctor, lawyer, whatever is a narcissist, but narcissists specifically and premeditatively flock towards these positions because guess what? They know that they are a symbol of the law, and they know these laws don't so much will apply to them. See, a narcissist doesn't realize, he does not accept the same laws that you and I follow apply to him or her, whether they're a cop or not. So is this making sense to you guys? We're living in a world where God says he's given Satan a rule of this world for a time, or he's the prince of the air, and we're talking spiritually. Everyone that pursues noble positions and careers in life, I would go as far as to say in this day and time, over half of them are not going into these occupations for an admirable reason or a heart convicted reason. If they were, we wouldn't have so much corruption. If they were, we wouldn't have so much atrocious acts by law enforcement. BTK was a park ranger. He was killing these people in the park, and in many cases, he was recruited to assist in the investigations. The very culprit was called to go and investigate. Lord, help me to connect and hold to my principal points here and the bullet points. This is why you as an empath and the chosen ones, you don't get treated many times like the person that should have been fired never gets fired. The person that should have not been promoted gets promoted, while you get demoted. The victims of a child that has just been unalived by a narcissist can't grieve normally because the media has hyped it up. They have gathered around this victim to the point where they put microphones in front of them. They've asked them to go in front of the media to speak. And this is how they play you out. We know it's hard and it's tough, but this will help in assisting us. If people hear you speak out about this, they will understand it better. And from all eyes account, it seems like these are the things that are necessary in order for society to really get a real good grasp on what has just happened. No, this one right here, I get a grasp on it. Because while they're sensationalizing this, and a lot of it you may say, it's not on purpose, that's just a protocol. Well, the protocol stinks. You have an insurmountable amount of tragedies that are happening all around us, and they're just force feeding it on the World Wide Web, force feeding it in the news, and then they'll sprinkle some good things in there too. And the good things are supposed to take our mind off the world being as dark as it is and go on and just live life. You can't live life worrying about things that you can't control. You hear people saying this? Okay, I get that to a strong degree. Start being concerned about things that you can control. First one being, be more concerned about narcissistic personality disorder. Be more in tune when you sense it around you. How do you sense it around you? Because you're going to have to gravitate towards this information. You're going to have to go outside of yourself and go within. Whereas this education and understanding of who they are has to be more than what you hear on TV by Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell. And we go to the break room at work and we start rattling off we recap the specifics of what we heard. We need to sit down and read about this, understand this, where it applies in our own family unit. That would be a great place to start. Because once you get this information, that would be the greatest thing that you can do. That should be your first work. Who's in my family that's a narcissist that could possibly fit this profile and this criteria? Because they have us looking at everything and everybody outside of our house till we don't know how to introspect and look within the home setting. Because once you see that, you begin to, in a healthy way, start distancing yourself from this dark energy, because that very dark energy that is in your family structure is pretty much what is going to keep you bound. You know why? Because when you get this information outside of you, say Lori Daybell trial, Chad Daybell, you'll start rattling off at the dinner table to some of your family members what you've heard, what you've seen. Oh yeah, I seen on TV, he's a narcissist, and you don't even know, unawares, that you're speaking to somebody that is as disorders as Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell put together. But they have just been so covert, and you've been so conditioned because you grew up in that house. So you don't think the worst of anybody that's in your family. You always think the best of them. You know why? Because they've manipulated and they've groomed you in a way to conform that mindset to where it's at. You're not going to be critical. You're not going to scrutinize your family. A lot of people will defend their family hell or high water, knowing that they're wrong, knowing that they're violent, knowing that they have strong propensities to cause harm and hurt to people. And this is where you get gang narcissists, a clan of them, a pack of them in a family unit. We have a family here in this city. They have hurt and harmed, and a couple of them have killed quite a few people. And when you hear their last name, you just, if one says in public, you say, hey, how are you doing? What's your name? And then they say their name and you hear that last name, that conversation goes left real quick. You don't have to search for a word to get an exit on that, because you don't even want to find out anything more about them. So this is how it works in this matrix of a world we're living in. It is, and back to you get fired when you should have been the one that was kept. It is not meant for you. It is not designed for it to go that way for you. That's what I was trying to go to. It's not designed. When you get passed over, it is not designed for it to go that way for you. And your minds and your hearts, like mine, you would think that is the way it was supposed to be. But I'm here to tell you, your integrity and your authenticity and your genuineness is something that is a gift from God, and it's to be treasured. This is why many times in the Word of God, God say, all this stuff, this and that will pass away, but my word will remain. Truth will remain. You wonder if Michael Jackson took a plea deal or settled. When people settle, especially us empath, when we settle, we don't settle because the court tells us take a plea. We don't take the plea because they tell us to take the plea. We take the plea or we settle for things that are beneficial for us, not because they said it was, because it's beneficial for us in a way that they would never ever be able to see or connect with. But one thing's undeniable, they sense that we've made a sound decision that wasn't dictated by them. So they understand this, but they don't know what it all means. And so that trial, just another atrocity that happened, and they'll keep happening, but it doesn't have to keep being this song and dance with us. God's allowing us to see this on full display because he wants us to gravitate and he wants us to run towards this insight and education of what demonic overthrow is. These people, public servants, we're holding them in too high of regard. We're grabbing their books. Everything that they do, we're following in it. When we should be gatekeepers of humanity. Holding these very people who we're holding in high esteem, we need to be holding them very accountable. We need to have a watchful eye. And when they go to the public and start acting like they're campaigning for victims, we listen. Nothing wrong with that. We're getting the information. But I'm trying to tell you, don't do cartwheels and backflip for these people who are supposedly in authority. This is what Christ was talking about. You put your faith in man more than you do God. And that's when you do yourself a disservice. So to cap this off, I want you guys to understand, if I haven't captured what I was trying to say, this is a well-oiled machine that is so easily understood and recognized by empaths, awakened and chosen ones. The more that you go in and educate yourself about what narcissistic personality disorder, in a spiritual sense, how the overthrow of evil is trying to stamp out everything good and noble. They're literally salivating why these crimes and these atrocities are happening. They are jumping in to get the limelight. They're jumping in to say, and you'll see in the press conference, look at how robotic and mechanical you can almost finish these people's sentences before in subconsciously you can almost recite it. They go to a press conference, everybody has to get their gestures, fixing their ties, waiting their turn, getting You know, getting their name spoken before they take the podium, their position. We like to think this law enforcement. We like to think that law enforcement. Do I have a problem with law enforcement? No. No, we need law enforcement because the darkness in this world. It's sad, but we do. Man would be doing whatever he damn well please, and they almost already are. Those powers that be, those cops, those lawyers, those doctors, they're doing it. They're doing everything they damn well want to do. They never see repercussions. And when they do see repercussions, and a couple of them are caught, it is to save face of some of the other ones. You think Epstein's the only one should have went to prison and jail? Somebody has to be the fall guy. All these people in those pictures, Trump and all these people in these parties, the A-listers, everybody went quiet. And everybody breathes a sigh of relief when the Olympian doctor Nassar finally got convicted. No remorse, no emotions. This guy just killed his daughter here in upstate New York from Canada. No remorse, no emotions. And what we do, we chase these stories. I too am in tune with these stories, but for another reason. And before I close, I want you to be in tune with these stories for another reason. Not the sensationalism in them. Let this be an educative, concrete, educative stance or perspective you're getting on this. Spiritually, you need to connect with this because you got to understand this is not for form or fashion. There is no time for us to be using this extra empathy in a way where it doesn't serve a common goal for those who are still yet in bondage. We have to be awakened enough to understand when you walk out your door, the very education that you get from these stories means the difference in you being able to be aware of these dark entities that are trying to capture other people's hearts and souls and minds. And you can intercept that. That being said, bless.